So, headed to the barn. Good morning from this beautiful, foggy, wintry East Tennessee morning, and welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. I figured it was a good time to make a video like this because I know a lot of you come to the channel for fun and for animals and silliness, and I hope you come to learn something. We just cut up all the time, don't we? Let me tell you something real quick. My Nana called last night, late, like 9:30. She's like, what are you doing? And we just chit-chatted for a second. She said, she's got this new iPad. The woman's never had internet in all of her life, 84 years old, and suddenly she has an iPad. So we're all trying to teach her how to use it and how to look for things. And she sort of knows how to navigate through pictures, and she loves watching YouTube. So Nana has figured out how to watch my videos, and she said, I don't know what you were doing. I don't know. I can't find this thing I was watching of you. She said, but you were flipping beans, and you had this thing on your head, and she said, you kept talking. She said, I called your mother, and I was asking her, what is this? You were talking about putting the soap in the washing machine. She said, Patara, I laughed till I cried. And I sat there for a minute, and I said, are you talking about one of my videos? She was like, I guess so. She said, no, I can't find it. Well, lo and behold, she had found in one of the suggestions, she had found my video that I did almost a year ago, guys, about, mocking about 2020 and people flipping out about, toilet paper and laundry soap and all that. So I posted it on my Facebook page. So, so she could find it and watch it over and over. So she could have some moments of joy with her granddaughter being a total silly butt. But anyway, so y'all, Nana's learning the internet, y'all. Anything is possible. But I wanted to make this video. I've actually thought about making this video for a couple of weeks. I get these moments of seeing people, their behavior and things with people. And I know a lot of young people come to my channel, and folks, you let gals out there, let your kids watch. And I wanted to speak about something which is such a sensitive topic. And of course, it's basically about, in a sense, it could be about bullying and the comments that people make. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm nobody, but from time to time I get a comment or two and I just go, my Lord, I'd like to ask you if you were raised in a barn or by a bunch of bears, but I'm gonna tell you what, they are much nicer than you are. But we've all learned the ways of the world, and it's very unfortunate these days, and this has always been the way of man. You always have, people that are just downright foul-hearted. They have very little confidence in themselves. They have nothing to do. They don't keep busy. They weren't raised right. They don't think right. They don't have any morals. I mean, we can go up and down the block on this, guys. You know this. But, and from time to time, growing up as a young person, you too, you probably had a person or two or three in your life that were mean to you. They were just flat out mean. There wasn't a reason to be mean. They were just mean. And so a couple of weeks ago at Christmas time, I put up my video showing how we did all of our collections for the children in Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. We're pushing into our 4th year doing something as one of our services and missions to give back to the communities here in Appalachia, veterans or, certain native cultures or situations that need attention. And, so I told James, I was in the barn. I had just finished feeding my quail, and I looked at him. I had turned on my phone, and I said, you know what? Nothing surprises me too much anymore. And I said, I don't expect people to like me. I know there are people that don't. And I said, and that's okay. I said, I don't know whatever did to them, but when somebody has to take the time out of their day, out of their moment, to put a thumb down or an ugly comment on a video where you are helping young children, native children, indigenous children, whether it's through a video about the language for the language camp, or whether it's through donating thousands of dollars for Christmas funds and suggesting food boxes for families in need. I'm gonna tell you what, folks, I'm not sure there's anything you can do for those people. I'm just not sure. There was a time in my life, I was a young girl. I was in elementary school, And I'm a people pleaser. I always have been. I'm a people pleaser. And, I get comments from time to time from people asking about these sun damage on my face. And I want you to know that I can show you pictures where I was as little as 2 years old, you can see that I'm already developing moles on my face. And in fact, if you pull my mother next to me, my mother actually has, this is no lie, most of these same markings in almost the exact same places on her face. Hers are just much smaller. They didn't get as pronounced. I have 2 sons that have moles. They don't have as many, but they have. When they have one, it's an identical location as mine. I have one son who has a birthmark. His hair is as jet black as coal. I mean, just jet black. And he's got a birthmark on the top of his head, just like my Aunt Judy. My Aunt Judy that we lost, unfortunately, this past late September. So what I'm getting at is a lot of the things that you see on your body, on my body, everybody's body, is genetic. You have a disposition for certain things. So here's the story. So back when I was in fifth grade, I was fifth grade, 10 years old, I ran for class president. And I was getting beat up and down the block. There was a little set of girl bullies. I've talked about a couple of these little girl bullies and their big sisters and stuff that went to school with us. And, those were the days where you could, your daddy taught you how to punch them in the nose and break their nose, You should still teach your kids how to do that. And, I ran for class president, and this little set of girls and this little guy just didn't like it. And they were so mean. And one day they came to school and they started calling me a mole, telling everybody I was a mole. Kids can be just so blind mean. The mole, because I had these markings on my face. And I went home to my mama and I told her, and she said, well, we'll teach them, won't we? So I said, what do you mean? She said, get in the car. We're going to go get some posters. So we went to, I don't know where we went. We went and got some posters and markers and things like that. And she said, she said, guess what? You've got a new campaign slogan. And I said, okay. She said, don't get stuck in a hole. Vote for the mole. And I said, Mother, I remember going, that's crazy. She said, do it. You're not going to take this. Flip it on them. So I did. The next morning was the election. Got in the car, had my vote for the mole posters, took them to school, and she said, we're pulling in here at Weigel's. I said, okay. She said, we're buying bubble gum. I said, okay. We went in there. She bought the whole box of bubble gum. The little individual piece, they were 5 cents a piece. I can still remember, they were 5 cents a piece. We bought the whole box. I mean, there's probably 30 of them in there. She said, you take them, you put up your slogans, you shake hands, you smile, and you give out bubble gum, and you stick to how you want to be class president, and you stick to your agenda, and you tell the truth, and you ignore them, and you don't give them any of your time and attention, and you be a lady. I said, okay. I did what my mama said, and by George, late that afternoon, we voted, and I was the class president. So here's what I'm saying. You can't change how people are. And you're going to have people in your life, whether they're friends, whether they're families, whether they're coworkers, whatever, neighbors. And they're going to be ugly to you. Folks, it's a lonely world in a lot of ways. Don't worry about what these people say. Don't worry about what these people do to you. They're not fundamentally changing anything that you are. These women that get on my channel and tell me how they don't do this and they don't do that and are ugly to me about my native culture and my heritage, bona fide. Bona fide. You ain't taking that out of my blood. You ain't taking that out of my DNA. For any of you that don't like the fact that I've got 14,000 Cindy Crawford moles on my face, well, you know where to stick it now, don't you? They ain't going nowhere. It's who I am. It's who I've always been. And it isn't going to change. Got it? I'm an East Tennessee girl. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of who I am, just as you need to be proud of who you are and where you come from. I homeschool my children, and I've been mocked up and down the road for the past 10 to 12 years for making that decision. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's the best darn decision I ever made for my family. I'm glad I didn't listen to those idiots. You shouldn't either. I got mocked for wanting to homestead and have animals and raise my own food and try to learn and teach with people. People just could not understand why I didn't want to spend my time running down. Why don't you spend your money and go buy you a nice pocketbook? Or why don't you go do this? Or why don't you go do that? Guess what? 10 years later, I'm building and leaving a legacy of education and stability and self-sustainability for my family and for hopefully other people. Taking a seed and planting it so then you can learn from that. Don't listen to these people. They're going to try to push you, mock you, make you think that you're this or that when you're not. All you're trying to do is to live your life. Try to be positive. Try to turn inward. The push on this is very hard, and it's not going away. You hear my babies back there? It's not going away, folks. I've always said in the last year, 2020 is the year you find out who you are, what you're made of. Who are you going to be? What decision? You need to make that decision now. You need to tune out the nonsense and tune out the hate. Tune out the jealousy. There's a lot of jealousy. It's Satan's seed. Don't react to it. Be proud of who you are and what you do. Because those that can't, actually more likely, those that won't and make excuses, who have nothing to do, find the time to tear you down. Ignore it. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. And to end on my story about my moles, you know, it made me very self-conscious for a long time. Even though I did the right thing, I did what my mama said, I did what I'm telling myself to continue to do. I did what I'm telling you to do. But you know that later that year, in the summer after that school year ended, my mother, I begged her, I said, can you please take me to a dermatologist? So we went to a dermatologist, and they were like, there's nothing wrong with these moles. And by the way, I go to a dermatologist every single year, and there's nothing wrong with these, okay? Nothing wrong with them. If there ever were to be an issue that they should be taken off or removed, I will remove them, okay? I've already done that before with other things. But none of these are a danger to me at this time. So, long story short, I went, and he sent me to a plastic surgeon. 10 years old, my mother was like, I think she was just trying to go through the motions because I was so distraught. And so he said, why don't we just remove one? Why don't we just remove one on the side? And Mom's like, is that what you want to do? And I was like, yes. So over here, I had one removed. He said, let's just do it from the side, okay? And let's just see what happens. He said, because if you scar, you know, we don't want to remove something on the forefront of your face. And I want you to know that up until about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was keloided here. You may see it in some old videos. I keloided so bad. And that's just what he said. And even my doctors later said, you keloid way too bad. You keloid. So if I ever have surgery like I've had, I keloid really, really bad. And I looked in the mirror and I said, I learned a lesson. I had to go through the motion even as a young preteen, even, you know, talking with my mom and my dad and all of these things. I learned a hardcore lesson. God made me beautiful. God made you beautiful. God made me the way I am because that's the way he wants me to be. And all of the sum of the people behind me, that because of their existence and because of who they are and what they are, is why I am what I am. And it ain't changing. It ain't going away. And don't you ever let anyone push on you like that. Ever. Your dignity and your pride will tell the tale of who you are. Not some schmuck on the internet, not some schmuck down the street, not some person you thought was your friend, not some relative who's lost their way. Only you can do that. Stay the course. Now, let's go feed some goats, right? Y'all have a great morning. I want to make sure that I said this, especially to you young folks out there. You have a hard road ahead of you. You have been given this role for a reason. You have been given this challenge that we face together. Stay calm, stay peaceful, keep praying, stay the course, dig inward, and we'll see you on the next video.